is the Goat Cult podcast, where I guess you guys will learn a bit about us in general, like what we do, outside of this video. And yeah, we're going to ask each other questions so you can learn a bit about us and our backgrounds.
Yeah, and obviously if you want to, any specific questions that you would like to ask us or read out, there's obviously the comments below to to leave a
I'm doing another one.
to leave a comment on any specific questions that we haven't covered on this one. We have a few questions that that we've lined up.
Yeah.
Yeah, some are about us, and some are a little bit.
They could be interesting.
They can be interesting.
They could be very interesting.
So, do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
However you want to do it.
Okay. So.
This is going to be good fun.
Oh yes.
Never been interviewed before.
I forgot my date. So yeah.
Would you like to say what I do and what you do in terms of things first to give the people something to?
Yeah.
It's just like an alcoholic and it's only like orange.
You and your Lucas addiction.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do sketching, watercolors, artwork, anything that I can sort of focus myself on.
Was it my go?
After you drink.
Is it my go? Okay, so I'm a self-taught photographer, labelled as an urban explorer to some people, and basically that's, I don't know, I guess that's mainly what your questions are going to be about, right? Urban exploration.
Yes, yeah, some of the questions will be about you, how you started and stuff.
Yeah, so yeah, basically that's pretty much it. Well, I'm not actually that interesting, but I'll try to be.
Well, I'm sure you'll. I'm sure it will get more interesting the later this gets.
I just can't seem to get a break from this though.
So okay, well, pretty much kicks my question off straight away. What made you start photography?
Maybe it was just was alcohol.
Yeah, it would be better if it was like Jack or something a little stronger.
You kind of have a rough idea.
Yeah.
So that kind of works in that format, that you have a rough idea on why I started doing photography.
Mm-hmm.
I guess like I was always fascinated by black and white photography. Mm-hmm. So the black and white format was always going to be like something that I was drawn to. It captures emotion a bit better.
Yeah.
But that was kind of the route I wanted to go down. Like,
yeah.
Eventually, I wanted to just go into black and white photography, or like really pale colours, dark moody colours.
Was it always black and white photography, or was it black and white movies, or black and white?
It's
like, was it just that whole black and white genre?
I feel that when something is in colour, it doesn't show emotion very well. Like you can have like a beautiful wedding picture and stuff, but it doesn't really show a certain aspect. Like I think black and white photography is a bit more personal, and I think that when you do black and white photography, it kind of makes it into a more of a, I don't know, it's more of a raw feeling.
Yeah,
well, takes you back to an older time. Yeah, it takes you back to an older time. So me getting into photography was basically our hometown together. We had like a major snowstorm, and like my uncle basically asked me to like photograph or use his camera, and I went out at like 4 o'clock in the morning in like shitty blizzard weather, and I was just like, oh, you know what, it would be really cool to photograph like the snow, like virgin snow everywhere.
Yeah.
So I did that, and then I kind of got picked up by our local paper, and it just said unknown photographer. I didn't really have a good eye. My photos were really bad. but I made the camera work for what I wanted it to.
Yeah.
So I pretty much used the white as the black and white photography, like the white snow as the black and white.
Yeah, and the sort of dark of night, early morning kind of
And
thing.
early morning I was using street lights just to give it a bit of a light and so on. And that's kind of like, I love going out at night and photographing things.
Is it because it's quiet?
I guess it's quiet and you can always find something. Like when it's black and white, if you're doing like urban, like street photography or anything, nighttime black and white, it just has a certain setting, and it could be anything. Most people are scared of the dark. Yeah, I look for the light in the darker areas. I guess. Yeah, I literally started off. Now my voice is gonna go again. But yeah, I guess like I got noticed by the local paper for that. Like our hometown's worst snowfall.
Yeah.
And
It was quite bad that year.
This was like me going back to like when I was 19 and 20, and I didn't really find myself really doing much. It wasn't until I started going a bit deeper into it and I got really into it that it kind of helped me work around what I was dealing with emotionally and dealing with like a loss of most kinds, and generally like that's kind of how I kind of got into it. I was dealing with a lot of emotional stuff, and photography took me away from it.
Yeah, it's a solace.
It
takes you away, takes your mind off of it.
Yeah, it
gives you something to focus on.
But I would never say like I'm a photographer. That is very weird. Question time for you, sir.
Fire away.
Fire
Okay,
away. So the audience now know that you are a painter.
Yeah.
You draw. You're not widely known as a painter or a drawer.
No.
It's only to mainly his close friends and someone that he's
Yeah.
started showing his creative side a bit more. But I mean, we touched on it last time, but like it's more. I'll switch the question around, shall I?
Yeah.
So, when you're painting and drawing, like, is it like I don't know, is there certain things you prefer drawing and painting, e.g. like landscapes, animals, or is it all as complicated as like watercolour seems? Like, are animals more difficult to do than say a landscape?
Very much so.
Okay.
It's more about if you sketch or do a watercolor painting, it's more of the animal is more up close.
Yeah.
So you'd have more detail. You'd have more. Like you've got to focus on your lights and your darks and your shadows.
Yeah.
You've got to pick out all of those details. And it's not that easy when you're doing it for like the first time. It's not always great.
Yeah.
It's just like 3 dabs on a thing. Yeah. That's a twig. But it's I would say landscapes are much more easier. You've got a lot more. You can put more emotion onto the page. You've got a lot more freedom. By obviously freedom, I mean you've got a lot more chances that if you do make a tiny mistake, you can cover it up.
Yeah.
With a bit of scenery.
Whereas if you're like
closer.
I don't know, painting a cow.
Yeah.
It is not gonna you make one fall smooth. Say its legs a bit wonky.
Yeah.
Its tail's wrong.
Yeah.
Its eye don't work. Its eye's gone left.
No, unless you manage to then say, okay, that's a crazed cow.
That's pretty much how it would be.
Yeah. Then you wouldn't really get away with it, but you would always know it's there.
Yeah.
And I tend to find if you know there's a mistake in that piece, it will never make your final portfolio.
Yeah.
You will take it out straight away because you know there's something in there.
I mean, like you can, photography wise, you can cover up a mistake with Photoshop or something else.
Yeah.
And the photo can look amazing, but you know in your head you didn't.
There's something
right
there.
Yeah.
There's something in there. Like I've done it in the past. I've drawn a lovely landscape. I've got to the final thing in the foreground, the main focus of a tree, and it now looks like a lollipop, and I'm just like, that's the whole picture. That's the whole hour.
Like a Willy Wonka. magical wonderland lollipop because I added some splash of colours.
Well, yeah,
made it your own. But no, if you're going for an artistic piece, it needs to be as you saw it.
Yeah.
As you envisioned it, and with something's a bit off, like I said, even me in photography, if the white's a bit more overexposed than what I need it to be, I look at it and I think, oh, does it go in? Do I keep it? Do I delete it? Half the time I'll go back to it. I'll leave it a day, then go back to it, and then think, do I need
fresh eyes? Yeah, different perspective.
Exactly. So you're saying animals are harder than landscape, basically?
I would, yeah. Like myself personally, like some people are the opposite way. They're more focused on the detail.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to a landscape where you can express yourself, you can literally, if you want a tree at a certain place or a certain angle, you put it in there.
Yeah.
You know, nature doesn't grow straight.
No.
Like there is like some aspects of like where you do look into the into the distance, and it does seem like it's straight.
Yeah.
But if you go up close to a tree, it's never straight.
Tree's like
yeah.
Yeah.
It's never. There's always something there. There's always a branch that's broken off. There's always something. So it's never. You know, you've got more to experiment really.
So you've got more creativity around the landscape than what you do, say like a cow in a field or a sheep or.
Yeah, because it's that thing of all the details up close with an animal.
Yeah.
Same thing with
like. Have you tried drawing people? Or painting people? How did that work? Did it look like, like one of them abstract pictures where like, the nose is a bit off and the eyes?
The different patches of colour. Like, no, some obviously some expressionists and different things do make a lot of money from those. But when you're there and you've got the picture or you've got the image in your mind or on a photograph or on a piece of paper that you have sketched, when it comes to then putting it into paint,
you've got to get them shades of skin colour right.
Oh yeah.
If not, they could look.
It can go from sunburnt to Arctic.
Like, like say you're drawing a family picture. Everyone looks correct, but then you think, well, one of them's gone away on holiday. Yeah. Like they're a bit overly tanned.
And that's all down to obviously mixing the colour on your palettes and making sure you've got enough paint on that to then go in and do all the bits that you need to do.
Yeah.
But then it all comes down to as well layers. Yeah. You can always layer your picture so you're using the same strength, like wash, but you go over it and over it, like obviously drying time in between, and it gets stronger anyway.
Oh, okay.
So you can always go back into it.
That was something I didn't know. Okay.
Yeah, you can always go back into it with the same colour or the same.
The only thing I ever dabbled in was just like drawing, just like pencil drawing. I was good at it, but after a while my creativity and mental block just wouldn't allow me to draw.
It's definitely a hard thing to get over. Like as you say, that mental block. I had it a few weeks ago where I sat down and all I saw was a white bit of paper. I couldn't put an image on there.
I mean, it's funny because like I got such a good grade for doing art, and I can draw. Like I can draw people. But I think like when it comes to me, say like the wall, I would then need to I'm better with some spray cans on a wall than what I am with a pencil. Like with a spray can, I can literally do a lot. But with a pencil and some paper, I'm looking at what do I do?
Like, you just see that white.
So what do you do when you hit the mental block? Like you hit that block where you're like, oh, what do I paint? How do I start this? How's it going to work? Like, do you look at photography? Do you look at other people's paintings? Do you then go forward and think like, I'm going to take something from that, take something from that, take something from that, and create it myself?
Well, when I do
literally throwing you under a bus and giving you every horrible question.
Some might say you have prepared for this. No,
I'm strong.
No, I do sometimes. Obviously, when I do get that block, I do think to myself, I don't know what I'm doing. But then I kind of step back. I watch a bit of TV.
Up every day. I don't know what I'm doing. I just know what I'm doing.
No, I get up and I sort of like, okay, I'll watch a bit of TV or a bit of like YouTube or something. One of my favourite artists is on there, and I'll watch him for a bit.
Yeah.
See, like you'll find inspiration.
Yeah.
I have done, as you said, I have gone away and looked at my portfolio and said, oh, maybe I'll like have just a quick practice and drawn a tree, or in a different, like an autumnal tree rather than a winter tree, or I'll do a winter scene, and then it'll either evolve into I've finished a winter painting, or it magically somehow goes into a summer one, and you think, okay,
I started off strong.
Ended
strong. It was fine.
Yeah, it's that thing of like, okay, like I always say, try and get something in your head to when you do start, because then at least you've got something to focus on. You've got something where you go, okay, I'm going to have a tree on the left. Okay, I've sketched a quick outline of roughly what I want, and then okay, now what can I put over this side? Or maybe a tree, maybe a little bit off in the distance.
So it works really well for like drawing compared to photography. Like my photography, I have one chance, one shot to get the picture I want in a rushed environment, and then you've got like a piece of paper and you're like, oh, I could just take my time. Whereas me, I'm like, what about if someone saw me get in? How long have I got? Is my battery going to last? Will this shot look okay? When I get home, it'll probably be shit. But I'm like, I'm rushing to get it. Yeah, I have like a momentum and a plan. So all that momentum's carrying me, but then my plan just usually goes out the window. Whereas you're looking at a piece of paper like, oh, I can just turn this into a winter scene, or I could turn it into a sunny scene, and I'm there like,
I need to get this done. I need to get this done.
Yeah.
Obviously, you pressed on the next my next question.
What did I press
on? Obviously, you were talking about you were rushed in certain places.
Yeah.
So obviously, tell me a bit more about the, as you would say, the urban exploring.
Oh, in terms of what? Like, how did you what did you want to go?
How did you get into that? Was it the photography that
it was
got you into that? Was it the dark side?
Like I said, okay, I have told you obviously years ago, but it was more of a, like I said, I was dealing with a lot of emotional stuff, and losing 2 jobs, it was like, okay, like I said, not through my own fault, just literally they weren't making money, lost 2 jobs, and I was like, now what?
Yeah.
Now what? College didn't suit me, that was gone. Like, to me, I found college a literally waste of time. Like, literally I was there for like, I don't know, I think I must have walked into the art and graphic room and sat down, like, focused for about 5 minutes, and I was like, got my bag, and I was like, nope, this ain't for me. Because I'd much rather, I've always been like a really, I kind of beat to my own drum. I'd rather not
be told how to do something. You just, there's a camera, go and figure it out. Kind of
thing. And because I've never taken any experience in that, like I said, I was at a hard place in my head. Like, I was dealing with like severe depression. I was dealing with, I don't know, so much stuff mentally that I needed a release from the real world. So it was like, oh, okay. And I explained to you before, like, I was obsessed with horror films. Like, every horror film was going through my head. Every single film, like, I must have spent like all my money, redundancy money, on these jobs. Literally blowing money on horror films just to sit there and watch them and feel like.
Would you feel immersed in those films? Would you feel?
Man, it would go from watching something shit.
Like the old proper see the strings kind of movie.
But it was one of the things where like I was like, oh, okay, like I went from like banned films to like films that aren't even like released over here or
within the UK or something.
Like I went from extreme to extreme, and the more graphic and the more disturbing, the more I was like, it's not actually that scary. Like, it wasn't that scary, but it took me away from what I was mentally feeling. So, as I told you once before, like, the last bit of money I had, which I had saved up, it was like, okay, what do I do? Watched the film, I think it was called Boo. I think it was called Boo.
Yeah, I think you said it was Boo.
I think it was Boo. I think it was Boo where they're like in the asylum, and I was like, oh wow, like, I wonder if that like places like this exist. Like, I wonder how deep history would go. Because like I've always been fascinated in history as well. So it was like, okay, well, let's see how far I can progress. Let's see what the UK has to offer in terms of these films, because they're set somewhere. Oh, you know, like the horror film itself, Boo, is set in an asylum in America somewhere. But I was just like, I'm in such a hard place in my head that I needed an escape, which wasn't a film, and I needed to get out of the house, and I needed to do something. So it was like, whatever money I had left, buy a shitty camera on Amazon, get rid of all my cigarettes, because that was draining money.
Yeah.
And then, literally, it was like, snap every cigarette I've got, didn't touch a cigarette for like 2 years. In this process, didn't take, like I said, every bit of money went on travel from that point onwards.
Yeah, travel and I suppose equipment, or little bits here and there.
Mate, the tripod I had, literally, you could throw it up in the air and like
it would take a while to
it
get
wouldn't
back
come
down.
down. It wouldn't come down. It was up there for a good while, just sat there perched on a cloud. But no, like, yeah, everything was cheap. Like, I think my tripod was like £7, and I think the camera was like £40, like a small little digital thing. And weirdly enough, the SD card cost more than what the actual tripod was. So I was like, oh wow, like this could be a really expensive part of my life. But it turned out it kind of played out quite well. But like I said, watching horror films, needed an escape. My mind was in like dark places, like really dark places. And then it was just like, okay, let's see what's available in the UK. So quick Google search, probably the first time I ever used fucking Google or anything like that properly.
Any search engine.
Anything properly, man. Like internet and like, I don't know, anything along that lines, like just did not appeal. And we're going back to like when I was like 20. Like it wasn't even like, I don't know, I think like even Ask Jeeves was still running at that point.
Yeah, I think it just come
I think like I was in school, I was using Ask Jeeves. But it was like, oh, do a Google search, let's see what we find. And then found a manor, and I was just like, oh, okay, I'm gonna have a look. Had a look for all of 5 minutes, came back home, and I was like, no, that ain't nothing. It was too creepy. Yeah. And this was like...
Was it more of the silence, or was it more of...
Mate, it was down the country lane, right? So it's in Crowborough. And literally, the country lane was down there, like literally moved at an angle. It was like a proper swoopy type of country lane.
Yeah.
You could see the mansion through the trees because, like, I think it was like coming up to autumn, and you could see the mansion. But on the other side, there was like chicken sheds.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, oh. So I checked out the chicken sheds first, and I was fine. Like I walked in, took some shit pictures, and then I looked at the manor.
I looked
at the manor, and I was like, oh. And when I got to it, I was like, I heard this weird noise, mate, and I was like, nah, I'm on my own. I was like, no, I can't do this. And then, yeah, like I said, I got to the mansion, and I was just like, mate, the size of it was daunting. Yeah. And it's, after watching all the films I'd watched, it probably didn't really,
you didn't really want to go in after you've seen Dracula like 3,000 times.
But it was like, oh wow, like I looked up at it, and I was like, there's some beauty in this. Like, I've never once stepped foot in a mansion. I don't think anyone had at the time of 19 and 20 in their lives. No. Unless they come from like pure money. No, yeah. But like, I looked at this mansion, I was like, even the doors are massive. Like, I was like, whoa. And then the doors were open. There was like broken windows. I poked my head in the window. I heard what sounded like a scraping noise. I was like, nah. Nah. And I literally bailed. And then I was just like, I've got to go back. So I was like, okay, let's get back into it. Like, I mentally prepared myself for stuff. Yeah. I went back, and I was just like, what was I scared of? Like, I checked out the chicken sheds yet again before I went back in. Like, built up a bit of courage. Yeah. Went to chicken sheds. They're kind of creepy. Not to say they were kind of weird. But, yeah, I went through the bush, went along, went up to the doors. The doors were now locked. Okay. So I literally climbed in the window.
Which I tell you, it was still broken and stuff.
Yeah, they'd locked the main doors, but all the windows were shattered. But I climbed in through the window.
Security.
Like, you're in the middle of nowhere, no one's going to bother you. I think like the local community knew it as the haunted house.
The haunted house.
And I knew its original name, and I'd done my history on it. Like I'd been looked up the place like to full extent. Yeah. but it was like, I went in and the first thing I saw was like all these chairs, like you had like your main sofa, your 2 big lounge chairs, and then right at the back it just said the Pizza Man in graffiti, and I was like, that's pretty cool, that. But it's weird because this house I became addicted to. I'd go back every couple of weeks. If I couldn't find anywhere local after that, I'd keep going back. I had no idea what urban exploration was. I had no idea like what the fuck I was doing.
No.
And I was just like,
not even entry level
stuff.
Like,
I mean, I didn't even know there was like people out there that do this. I literally looked up that asylum, then progressed to see what was in our hometown. And then, yeah, when I went back and I saw the chairs had moved, I was like, oh wow, some paranormal shit. I was like, this is weird. But everything else remained the same. Like, I literally went through the whole house, like, photographed it poorly. But
I suppose over
the couple of weeks, it must have...
a couple of weeks.
I didn't know it was popular.
Right.
So it was popular among the people that do urban exploration. Local, easy, people in Kent can get to it. And they
so I suppose it would be, now that you think about it, as an entry level, everyone went there, everyone experienced
But before they started going there, I went there when it was pristine. Like, I went there just when the windows were shattered and people had moved certain bits and photographed it.
Yeah.
But over the time, like, the
more
big
stuff
staircase, mate, was trashed. It was all wrecked. You had more wallpaper ripped everywhere. All the chairs were flipped up. There was like a devil pentagram in the middle. And that wasn't there when I took the shitty photo to begin with. So when I went back, I was just like, what the fuck is going on? I didn't even know people did this shit. I was just so obsessed with, like I said, all these places. But this one place kept drawing me back, and I was just like, what is it about this place? And there was like, as obviously the years went on, I became obsessed with other places. So it wasn't just like, oh, it's a regular old house, or oh, it's an asylum, or oh, it's a church.
It had a history behind it.
It had to have something. And like everyone would go, like as the years progressed, it got popular. Hotspots would turn up and everyone would flock to them at the weekend, you know. I would avoid them hotspots and find something else. But I only ever photographed or explored what I was mentally drawn to. I had to be mentally drawn to do it.
Yeah.
And then gradually, if I was like, say in a hotspot, say like 6 months later, I might turn up and see what I can make of it. I'd never go directly to it. I'd have to be drawn to it. But yeah, that's pretty much my first abandoned place
was an old manor house kind of thing.
Yeah, but weirdly enough, a celebrity now lives there.
Oh.
A celebrity now lives in this mansion. It's like 17 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, dining hall, and weirdly enough, they kept the whole house the same.
They just changed little bits.
On the inside, completely different, but on the outside, you drive past.
It would look run down.
It still has that look. And the only difference is now they've actually, like, it has a really cool pond, which I was filming, but it has like steps that lead to a bigger garden. They've cleared it all out. I never saw that garden when I was there. It was all overgrown. I was just like, oh wow, them steps are really interesting. If I knew that, I'd take a different perspective. I'd take it from the steps looking up. But no, that house, well, mansion, very, very.
So I'd say that was deep into, that was your foundation basically. So you got what kick-started everything.
I guess what it was, I didn't go to these asylums till later on. Like, as much as I saw them, I found them too daunting on my own. You go to like an asylum, you got like fucking over 1,000 acres of building.
Yeah.
And they're big. They're dangerous. Like, they stink. I've only ever come across 2 padded cells in my lifetime of doing it. And I've gone through every asylum in the UK. And I've only seen 2. And both of them I saw, and I never photographed them. Gutting, but it's raw history.
Yeah.
And that was something that I never got around to photographing, because I literally would turn up at these places, take a few pictures and not think. I would just take in everything. Coming across like machines, mate, that people used back then on these mental patients.
Yeah.
Coming across them was more fascinating than me taking a picture of them. Now I kind of wish I took a picture of them.
Just so that you'd have that.
Yeah, and then when I
have that piece of history.
When I went back a bit, it was like, oh, I went back, most of the machines are wrecked.
Yeah.
Or vanished. And you're like, oh, I should have photographed them. Then I was just like, with corridor shots. But it was just like, oh, I should have done it. But yeah, the mansion got me started. I then went to this other place. I think it was on 7 Mile Lane somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And it was along that line. And the only reason I went there is because I saw like a post on the internet. And I only saw one. So it didn't seem that popular. And by now I'd learned things.
Yeah.
And I knew there was other people that did it. But I only saw one post on the internet and I was like, oh, I have to go. And I think the place was called Royden Hall.
Ah, yes.
And I only went there because it had the dark history of a cult.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, interesting, dark, see if there's anything weird. Never got in. Never got in. I literally turned up and I think I went through the window and the alarm went off, so I left. So I only ever explored like the folly on the grounds.
Yeah.
Which was a bit shit. So, going back to you.
Yep.
After I've just literally took up most of your airtime.
That's fine.
So, in terms of accomplishments, I mean, we talked on this beforehand, like what you would like to accomplish. You said that a gallery turned you down.
Yeah.
More or less. Yeah.
More or less.
So, a gallery turned you down. I would say some type of art is a dying format. Not many people are.
No, I've got to admit, not many people are picking up a paintbrush, or a pen, or a pencil.
Or drawing. And even if they can draw, they're not going to share it.
No.
Because they feel no one's really interested.
Yeah, or, well, it's more of yourself is the biggest critic you'll ever face.
Yeah.
Like, you can do a 5-minute sketch, a 5-second sketch, or a 5-hour sketch.
Yeah.
And if you accidentally, like, you take in a breath and you move your pencil slightly,
like we said earlier, there's something there.
You know there's something there, and you just think, nah, gone.
Yeah.
Start again. Like, I've got, I silly enough, well, not silly, but I
say silly.
I say silly. I done some paintings, and at the time
did this gallery literally just say no?
Well,
or was it more of a?
It was do more, come back.
Okay.
So like basically learn more, come back.
Yeah.
Like, you think I was like fresh out of like college? I'd done painting, decorating. Yeah, I'd done painting, decorating. I'd done my cooking. And yeah, it was. I didn't really have a lot of time for it. It was literally me sitting down to escape the world.
Okay.
So it was more
I can relate. Yeah.
So just to sit down, focus on something, just sit down and just release all of my emotions, everything that was going on onto a page.
Right.
So I used it for relaxing, like just sitting there, a bit of music or whatever in the background or something, and
you saying all this like relaxing and stuff. Like, I used to sit when I was young. I used to sit on this stupid plastic white table, right? And I would come home from school and just draw, right? And I'd just draw, and then I got bored of the paper, so I screwed up all the paper and drew on the table, and then it went from there. Like for me, I was just like, it just looked like a collage of just.
Yeah, well, that's what.
But I'd be so silent doing it.
You're focused.
Yeah. But now, if you ask me to write or draw anything, mate, I ain't got the fucking time or patience to fucking sit there and draw anything.
Quick, get it done.
Yeah. I literally have to be like. I don't think I could even sit there and do it now.
No.
Nah. I don't think I could. I think I'd get that far and be like, I'm bored.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm bored.
Next page.
That's one thing that I'm looking at you thinking like, you sit there and paint for how long? How many hours?
So I think the longest I've done is literally 4 hours and gone through about 3-4 pages worth of watercolour paper.
I couldn't do it.
Because it's more about drying times. Obviously, no one likes watching paint dry, so it's literally, you do the sky.
Yeah.
Then you'd sit back. Like now, I'd sit back, have a cigarette, watch a bit of YouTube, or listen to a bit of music, then come back to it. And then you do your next bit. And
to me, 4 hours is too
go
long.
make yourself a cup of tea or whatever.
To me, 4 hours is just too long.
I think the longest time that I've spent on one piece is probably just over an hour, and that was me sketching. That was an A4 pad, and I just filled up the whole A4 piece of paper. But
so you could I could write for hours. Like I could write anything for hours. Like it could just be anything that comes in my head. I could just carry on writing. But drawing wise, like to me that would.
Like say, for instance, if you said, right, a superhero lives in a castle, on top of a hill and is pestered by a dragon.
Okay.
I will sit there and I will try and draw that.
Whereas I'd probably write about it.
Whereas you would write about
I
it.
could happily write about it. Yeah.
But whereas I would actually sit down, I'll try and draw the dragon. Okay, that didn't go so well.
Try. I'm pretty sure you can draw a mean dragon.
Give me enough practice and then I will, but I haven't drawn like a proper dark dragon in ages. Yeah. I last did one of them while I was at school and my art teacher told me I was silly. Only because we was trying to draw something else, but that ain't the point.
It's a giraffe, it's a dragon.
Yeah, it's definitely a dragon.
Can the class just draw a giraffe? You'll just turn up with a dragon. Yeah, I've done a dragon.
But then that was me, like my art teacher got me into college because I would sit there and my mind would just wander.
Yeah.
He said you need to get something behind you.
Just something.
Something, like a trade.
Whereas me, I'm just like a happy-go-lucky, I'll take a chance.
But that was actually my art teacher, because I would help him out if I had a free period or something. I would come and sit down and help her.
So you had some encouragement. I mean, your nan encouraged you.
Yeah.
She was a big part.
My art teacher was more of, you need to get out and get a job, you lazy git. But
yeah, but you still had that.
But yeah, it was that. It was just that little push.
Do you know what I had? I had my father telling me that I'd be in prison by the time I'm 21. When I told him I was going to go to all these scary abandoned buildings.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, you're going to be in prison by the time you're 21. And then my grandmother was like, oh, that'd be nice. That's as good as it got, mate. That was the main part. It was, oh, if you do that, you're going to be in prison. Oh, that'd be nice.
Well, that was the main factor of my art teacher giving me that push. Well, it wasn't really a push. It was I had to spend the whole lesson and the whole day in his tutor group deciding whether I wanted to get a job or go to college.
Mine was simple. I had a job before I left school. My GCSEs were rocking up, and I was just like, yeah.
Nope.
I'm sure I might fail most of these, but I'll go for them. Did the GCSEs, I just had a job after school kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I still had that job.
Yeah.
And I was just like,
yeah, I had nothing when I left. I had literally nothing, and I literally I went home, I said to my nan, look, I need to do something. I need to do something more.
Yeah.
And obviously Nan said, well, you're good at your artwork.
I never had anyone tell me I was good. They just thought I was fucking stupid.
Well, I think at the time it was more her pitying my artwork. At that point, it was atrocious.
I literally just had people telling me I was stupid. Stupid and dumb, and why am I doing it? Whereas you had a bit of motivation behind you, I had nothing. The only motivation I had was in here, but that was it.
Yeah. But then I didn't have that. No. I didn't have the motivation in myself to do it.
Yeah.
I had to be pushed.
Yeah. Whereas I kind of saw it and I was like,
I need to do something. Yeah, I need to do something.
I've got to do it, otherwise I'm going to be dead by the time I'm 22. That's the way I looked at it. I was like, I'm going to be dead by the time I'm 22. I need something to focus on, something to be positive about, rather than be mellowing in self-pity. I was like, I need to do something.
Yeah, so I did, obviously I had Nan pushing me towards the painting
So
decorating part.
You had everyone push, well, your Nan pushing you.
Yeah.
What was your mum like when you said you wanted to go down a painter route? Was she just like, oh, okay?
It was like, yeah, okay, what are you going to fail at next?
Fail.
No, it was, she was, she was behind me. But
What's all this, mate? You've got your own fucking cheerleaders at this point.
It's all family. But no, she was just like, okay, do what you can, try and put some effort in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I was like, I just want to be a bum at this point. Sit and play computer games all day.
You got to think though, when I left school, we could leave school at 16.
Yeah, we could.
Yeah.
We left school at 16.
And now they've pushed them forced
now they're pushed to stay until 18, I think now.
Encouraging people.
Just go to college, go to uni, go to... And
see,
we never had that.
I remember when I left primary school, they said what do you want to do? Do you want to go to a grammar school? Do you want to go to a public school? Do you want to be all posh and la-di-da? I was just like, I just go with my friends. And they were just like,
what? No, but...
Why? They were like, your 11 plus is coming up, why? I was just like, no, I just want to go with my friends. And I thought okay, public school might be a better choice.
Big mistake.
Horrible mistake. But the thing is, I always had, for me, I guess you had people pushing you, whereas me, I was reading so much.
As you said, you're quite obsessed with history and stuff.
It was anything history related. I was into it. I was driven for that. I don't know why. I was obsessed with Vikings, Saxons, Tudors, Egyptians. I was obsessed with everything before us.
Yeah.
So I was just like, oh wow, I mean, you can ask me anything, and I'll probably know it off by heart. And it was that constant thing. But I think Egyptians got me.
I suppose that more royal kind of more.
The Egyptians got me into I don't know,
what sort of secret kind of thing, secrets and hidden stuff.
It was
coercion.
The darker side of Egypt, how they've removed the brain, how they would do this, and how they would mummify people, and then gradually it moved on to monsters,
Dracula, the myths,
the Mummy, Frankenstein, and then all of a sudden, by the time I was 7, mate, I must have watched every single horror movie ever produced. By the time I was 7, I remember I was sat there watching Predator when I was 4, and I was like, what is this? I swear all this had a massive impact on me. I was just like, my mind is so corrupted.
I'm intrigued.
It was throwing, I don't know, it threw me into a different perspective.
It sent you on a spin.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I knew, we live in a happy, lovely world, and then all of a sudden, I watch this horror movie, and I'm like, there could be a monster in that house. I'm like, oh no, and I suppose that kind of pushed me towards
a little bit into the
into the darker, more, I don't know, more
more unexplained,
more scary house. Yeah, I mean, I was by the time I was 12 and 13, I was obsessed with UFOs. I was obsessed with ghost stories, real life ghost stories. And I was like, are these really real? Aliens really exist? Mate, I was obsessed. Anything dark, MacGyver-y, I was straight there. And my nan used to be like, he reads a lot of them stuff.
He's a bit weird.
My grandson's a bit weird. My grandson likes the dark stuff. But then my father, he loves horror movies. Or he did. I mean, he might not like them as much now.
But then maybe he feels the same as you do. You've seen most of them. You know what's
mate,
coming. You know what.
I can watch a horror movie all the way through and not jump. I'm like,
you know what's coming. There's going to be 2 or 3 jump scares in there.
And nowadays,
the music changes.
Yeah, and nowadays I go to more of the independent film circuit rather than the blockbusters.
Yeah.
The independent film kind of works a bit better, but sometimes a blockbuster will come out. It's pretty good.
Yeah, they do throw that twist. Sometimes in there.
I mean, most of today's movies are pretty.
They're generic.
Yeah, and most of them are taken from Japan, China, different countries with a British twist or an American twist. and you look at like a Japan horror movie and you're like, well, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
Like you look at it and go,
oh yeah, but the original, I went and saw the remake of Grudge.
Yeah.
And okay, I got freaked out by that, but I could watch the Japanese version all the way through without jumping.
The Japanese version kind of has
a bit of a dark twist rather than a jump scare.
Yeah. Whereas nowadays it's just based on and you're like
what can get the biggest scream out of something?
Yeah. I mean, I remember, I think, like, Sinister's like, I really like the film Sinister. Have you ever seen it?
I have.
See, I like the story to it. I love the story to it. I love the fact the guy's a writer. I love the fact there's like a demon that takes children. I love that. But when they advertised it, mate, they made it sound so fucking scary. Like, I can literally watch the whole thing all the way through. I'm like,
have you seen?
But it's not the jump scares or the scary film itself that I like. It's the setting.
The backstory.
Yeah, it's the backstory. It's the setting. It's the way it's done. Yeah. So anyway, back to your question that I was giving you.
Yeah.
So in terms of like accomplishing things, like, would you later on put your photos in paintings in a gallery, and just have your work on display, or?
I feel myself that I want to share
it. Yeah.
Share it. Like, I've started selling a few. The ones that like now I've started selling a few.
Yes.
They're going okay, but it's not great. You know what I mean? It's fresh out of the blocks. Like someone's looking at it going, that fucking 2-year-old drew that. And then other people looking at it going, wow, this is amazing. You've got a talent. So I mean, it's that cross.
I had something very similar with my photography. It was like, a 5-year-old took a picture. A 5-year-old could take a better picture than that. I was sitting there like, for one, what's a 5-year-old doing in an abandoned place?
And why has he got a camera?
And two, how would you give a 5-year-old a camera? It'd be dangerous. He'd probably eat it or smash it or, you know. But no, I had that. When I started.
You have that divide. You have that really bad or really good.
I had a lot of people judge me for the fact I didn't edit my photographs.
It was all raw.
Yeah, it was like, they were like, oh, we can't really see what the picture is. I'm like, I can see what the picture is. Like, I can see perfectly fine. But it's because, like, everyone has a style. Yeah. Like, same as a painter.
Yeah.
Or an artist.
That's true.
You have a style, and whether you stick to it or not is a different matter. But you have a style from when you start, how you progress, and what your final result is.
Yeah.
And I think that what people didn't like was the fact that they saw how I started. I got to the progression stage, and then I stayed at that progression stage. Like, I tweaked myself. Like, I made things better, but I kept the mood.
That upward curve.
I kept
slowly.
the mood. I mean, you look at my work and it's not professional, but you look at it and think.
You look at it and you think, okay, I've caught the emotion, I've caught the mood of that scene.
A lot of people are saying to me, like, why don't you make your photos brighter? I'm like, well, abandoned places aren't bright.
Yeah,
like, you're in a dark fucking room. Like, you're literally walking down like a dark corridor. By the time I get there in the morning, mate, like, we're looking at like 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And then if it's summer nights, like summer days even, like, you're getting there at 4.
And it's like,
it's almost pitch black. There's just a bit of light coming in. And by the time, like I said, 7 o'clock I was there, mate, you got a nice sunny day outside, everything looks bright. And to me that didn't show...
It's a different atmosphere.
It didn't show what I wanted. And what I wanted was to show these places in a gloomy manner.
Yeah.
So you have a certain style in drawing and painting.
Yeah.
Like, do you think that that's going to progress? Or do you think that you're just going to stick to what you do, become better, get a craft on it, make it your own?
Well, as I said, as you said, I've pretty much got to the point now where I can sit back and happily say that I'll happily label myself a landscape artist.
Okay.
I'll happily sit back and say that I'm more in depth and in tune with sitting and drawing a bridge like over a stream with mountains in the background, trees at the side.
Yeah.
I'd happily sit there and do that, but you give me an apple or something, I can paint it, yes. I can do the shadows, but then my art, it's not
you.
It's not me, and I just think, well, I've done that thing, and there's no way that I can put my spin on it.
Yeah.
Like, people have done that through history.
Yeah.
Whereas a landscape, you go, everyone sees something different.
Yeah, I mean, you can pinpoint different things in a landscape.
Yeah.
You draw an apple, it's going to look like an apple at the end of the day. No matter how diverse or dynamic or how, like, what's that artist's word? The one where they kind of make it all distorted and weird, but it's still an apple.
Yeah.
Whereas you can say that about landscape, but it's a different picture entirely. Me and you could draw a different picture of the same thing.
Yeah.
And it depends on our angle, our mood. You could draw it in the summertime. I could draw it at night time. It's the same thing, but you've made it your own.
Yeah.
Whereas an apple, you can kind of put a twist on an apple.
Yeah, as you said, you can use expressionism.
Yeah.
Where you pick it apart and you put the top up there and the bottom up there, and you
abstract it.
Abstract.
That's the word.
You break
That's
it apart.
The word.
That's you break it apart. There's also the ones where it's a specific thing. It's got to be straight. And like, in your view, it's got to be straight. It's got to have the light coming from behind you. It's got to have the light coming from the left. But
it's strange because, like, you can make a painting your own. And what I tried to do with photography was try and tell a story, right? And like I said, everyone would moan at me. Be like, why don't you edit your photo? Why don't you layer it? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do it? And I was just like, what the fuck is a layer?
How would I do it?
Do they think that I take like 6 pictures of the same thing, like in one room? Like, now I know what layering is. Yeah. And now I know what different exposures are. Back then I didn't. But I was still stuck to that.
Would you say it was a learning curve? Like, for me, like, sitting there and drawing a tree and then painting a tree and then, like, the progression of it, it's, for me, it's a learning curve to see how it flows.
I'll tell you what's really changed. And I'm not sure whether it's the change in camera or whether it's the change in, like,
experience.
It's kind of like
personal change or equipment.
I think it would go into a personal change. Because I would photograph the building, tell a bit of a story, and then leave it. Whereas now I'd rather tell the whole story without giving anything away, and make the viewer see things that maybe they relate to, that they will look at and be like, oh wow, I used to have one of those, like, old rocking horses.
Rocking horses or old clocks, I think
toys.
you've done before.
Like, I'd even photograph things which no one else would see. Or no one else would bother.
You would look past the clutter to find that toy, that clock.
I'd dig deeper. Whereas, like, most people, like, ever since
if I walked into a room, I'd just
most people, like, because urban exploration got so massive, they literally jumped on it, Instagrammed it, like, photographed it. Look at all their pictures. They're one-shot wonders. They walk into a room, they photograph that one room, and then they walk out. Could be an amazing picture. But that's what all these little groups do. Yeah, that's what they're doing. So when you see that room once, you're like, do I want to see it again? Yeah. You can take a picture of a room, it could look good. I'm not going to lie, it can look good. But what I started to do was dig deeper into that room. And it was pick out things that people relate to. It was like, oh, there's some dead flowers on the windowsill, but then there's a broken guitar light on the floor. I'd do a close-up of the dead flowers, photograph, like, the guitar on the floor, step away, photograph the room, and then I'd look for other little key elements in that thing which tell a story. I mean, the flowers dying alone tell a story. The broken guitar alone tells a story.
And the way it's left, I say, would also tell.
I guess, like what you said, like with experience, it does happen with experience. Like, you do.
I suppose you pick out key points.
Yeah, but no other photographer really does it.
No.
I mean, you go, like, I could show you now, I could show you, like, millions of people's, like, web pages of abandoned places, and,
they're all just from the doorway or just into the doorway.
Yeah, it's all one room. And there might be 1 or 2 photographers out there that do take close-ups of stuff. That tells more of a story than a shitty room shot. And that's all you see on Instagram now, with big rooms. And that was another thing which kind of pushed me away from it. I was like, you know what, I'm seeing this too much. Because they're getting into it for the wrong reasons. Yeah. But as for my progression, it was like, keep the mood, keep the setting, just make your pictures crisper, tell a better story and make sure that your audience knows something, or let them come up with their own story.
Yeah, give them the key facts,
Yeah,
and then
I
let
mean,
them make up their own mind.
Like houses are perfect for this. Houses, you can go in, photograph the room, then pick out the key points, then do some nice close-ups of some old photos left, some old letters left. I mean, like one place that came into mind just now, like I think it was called Vanity House. I think that's what one of my friends called it. I mean, we photographed it. He's photographed it 3 times. I photographed it once, and on his 3rd time, he went upstairs and we come across some letters, and these letters had locks of hair in them. He'd never seen that before, but because he's the same age as me, it's baby hair, and you add that to the letters about the children.
It's got emotion.
It's telling a bigger story right there, bigger story than saying, oh, just another abandoned house.
It's like child, grandchild.
Yeah. And I mean, I've gone into houses as well where they've kept their baby teeth, like a child's baby teeth in like a little jar. Might sound creepy to the viewers or whatever, but that's what parents used to do when I was younger. Like my grandmother kept locks of hair and like my teeth and stuff, and like I said, that tells a story. To me, that gives a setting that this is like a traditional thing that most families used to do.
Oh yeah, there was always that tradition. Like,
but how often do you see it now?
Oh, hardly any, but I know my great-grandmother, whenever she comes down, came down back then. When I was born, she's got a lock of hair for when I was born, she's got a lock of hair for when I got to that first pinnacle of a year old. I mean, you come across baby photos, but you don't come across these little sentimental things that mean so much to a family. And to know that family ain't living anymore, and to go into that house and find these letters and this lock of hair, you're like, wow, like this takes me back for when like I said, my grandmother your own
showed me my own hair, and I was like, what? That was my baby hair. Wow, here's your baby teeth. It's like, what? Why do you keep such weird things? And then later on, you think, because
it's sentimental.
Yeah,
it's sentimental. That sentimental value that makes these old traditions.
And it was such a big thing. And for like my friend to look at it, like I said, he's probably about 8 years older than me, and for him to look at it and go, wow, like he knew what it was, I knew what it was, but the people younger than me had no idea.
Oh, why is that? That's so creepy.
Yeah, why would you have baby hair? And like me and my friend, we were just photographing it, close-ups, everything. We were all over it because it told a bigger story than what the abandoned house did. And it was deeper than that. There was meaning behind that house. And I think like most of my like my niche is abandoned houses, and it tells a story. No matter where you go, it tells a bigger story. It tells a bigger story than an asylum. Asylum has history, but a house,
it's history that you can research.
Yeah.
It's history that you can.
Exactly.
It's accessible history.
Yeah. Whereas a house has family history. That's personal. That's private. I mean, you're not going to walk up to a stranger and be like, hey, can I photograph your house and every single content in it?
Yeah.
They'll be like, no. Like, you might find something really weird.
No, I've got babysit, like teeth under the sink.
Delete my internet history.
Delete the history.
Delete the internet history, turn the phone off, take everything out. You know what I mean? You're not going to do that unless then people aren't alive.
Yeah.
And one thing that I quoted in my book was, it was like a thought I came across when I was in this abandoned house. I didn't know the people there, obviously. Didn't know what they looked like, but I knew so much about them by what they left. And I think the quote was like, I do not know you, but I feel like I do now. And I literally walked out of that house going, whoa. And it struck me like...
I suppose it hit you, would it hit you emotionally, or...?
There's been places where I've gone with people, and they've walked in and, like, people might have...
They're happy stepper.
Yeah, I mean, they might have died, like in these places. They might have died in the hospital and their house is just left on the side of the road. And the emotion has hit other people, but it doesn't hit me until I go home and I look at my pictures. All the time I'm in there, I'm driven on telling a story. I don't care what danger I put myself into. I've fallen through floors. Like, I didn't care about, like, how risky it was. What the consequences of me getting caught was. I really do not, influence or prohibit you guys going off into abandoned places. That's not what I'm doing. But I didn't care for the risk. I literally was like, I need to document. And that's where I feel that I went more into like a modern day historian documentational photographer than labelled as an urban explorer.
Yeah.
Because urban explorers nowadays put things on YouTube.
Yeah.
One shot wonders on Instagram. It's a pile of shit. You want to go to an abandoned place, feel what that photographer was feeling.
Like obviously going on to that main subject of obviously nowadays it's all one thing, it's all one hit wonders.
Yeah.
Back when you first started.
The better days.
Yeah.
The better days.
Was it more quieter? Was it only a certain amount of people?
I wish you would know, right? Even though, so there's a forum. I mean, there used to be like 5 forums when I very first started. I got banned off of 2. Banned off the one that I used up until 2018. But then I kind of came back, and I came back a bit different. I kept my mouth closed, but
kept more into the shadow, but
but
still
people
put your work out, kind of thing.
I mean, like within a week, I'd do like that. They call them reports. Within a week, I would have like 8 reports up, and it would be like I'd literally flood the forum. It would be like, oh, mockingbird photography, mockingbird photography, mockingbird. You couldn't see anyone else's work because it was all just flooded with mine. Brilliant to see. People's comments underneath were like, oh, your shots are moody and gloomy, I love it, like I love the style, I love your settings, I love how you take pictures. I wouldn't have got that way if I weren't, inspired other ways, but it has changed from the people that I looked up to have now left. The people that I looked at the photography of have now gone. And I've left. Like I feel that it's done.
Would you say that the new generation is kind of, they've come in numbers, as you said, it got more influences, got more.
You could go to a remote farmhouse 5 years ago and not see a soul. You'd be left to your own devices. Now you go to like a remote farmhouse in the middle of nowhere and it's flooded with people with GoPros and posting access details, and it's literally like a family day out. Whereas beforehand it was like you could step in, take your time, leave. You wouldn't see a soul. Now everyone jumps on it.
Or 9 times out of 10 that like obviously the more quieter places like the farmhouse, like if you did get caught, they'd just be like, no, get off.
It's not the fact. It's
more of like,
they're giving
it's not a breaking and
people that do this hobby nowadays are given a bad name. They're glory hunters. They're people that want to post it up, get the views, get the likes, and they think they are actually someone. Whereas like back then, like every weekend,
it was more of an interest, maybe.
It was more of a cult. I mean, it was more of a certain amount of people would do it, and let's say like you have like maybe like the forum itself had like over 2,000 members, but only maybe like 30 of them would post.
So it's more of like a hobby kind of thing.
Yeah, it was more of that way, but they wouldn't post social media. That's completely off the question. You wouldn't do it.
No.
You wouldn't do it. Yeah,
you wouldn't advertise that you're
which
getting
they
into
did.
these buildings.
I mean, every now and then a person would come up and like sell his photos to like a local newspaper, like the Daily Mail or like the Guardian or something, or just online. Yeah. But it'd be once in a while. And as the years progressed, as years progressed, the best sites got ruined. They would get set on fire,
it's like vandalised.
It has changed so much, and it kind of drove me away for like almost 2 years. It literally kept me away because I hated it so much. I mean, I'd look at my camera and disgust.
You wouldn't expect someone to go into a building, trash it, and then walk away.
Yeah,
because then it's when you older generation guys go in, it's ruining.
The people that have done it the longest do it for the right reasons. Yeah. The people that haven't done it, like even
they're not going into.
I'm probably gonna set off like a load of controversy with it. Like urban explorers like that have just started to be like, I fucking hate you. They'd be like, yeah, you hate me, but look what I did before you. Like, But it was it's a massive change. Social media's played a big part. Like I said, the people that I used to look up to.
Like myself, like to be fair, myself, like the most of like the people that you would think of, artists and sketchers, and there's not the modern day guys that are on YouTube or Instagram.
No, it's the
older generation.
Whereas we've got
just to be quiet,
modern guys, and these guys are glory hounds. Are like like showboaters. Like I said, I'm not gonna go to these places.
Like some of these guys are good, but
yeah, I mean their photography's brilliant.
We're not saying that. It's just more of the atmosphere of it's now changed.
Their attitude.
Yeah.
I mean, it used to be like, you know, like they used to have this motto of like, leave nothing but footprints, and now it's like, what's the point of leaving footprints when you can just go watch it on YouTube? Like,
yes,
it's like
that's true.
You leave your footprints everywhere, but what's the point? Like,
what's the point?
It used to be like, take nothing but photographs, leave nothing but footprints. Now it's literally post to Instagram, put on YouTube,
get your money, go on. Yeah,
and but like I said, they're not bringing it to light. They're not doing the places justice.
No,
and I've seen like,
and they've lost all the history.
And nowadays, like I think I looked at the forum like a couple of days ago. It's dead. It's not dead because of COVID. It's dead in general.
Because
all the people that used to do it have now gone. They've literally gone. No. And it sucks because these people paved the way for these new people. Like myself, like if I didn't do it as much, I'm sure some of my people who follow me on Instagram, they won't be doing it now.
No.
If I didn't do what I did and do it to a large scale, like I said, I was putting out 8 posts a week. I wouldn't post unless I had like triple figures of abandoned places. And even then I'd hold back and I wouldn't post it straight away.
No, you dribble it in.
Yeah, I mean like, every weekend, years ago, I used to look forward to going on the forum, putting up what I did at the weekend, but seeing what everyone else did. And it was a secret. It was the world's best kept secret. Now, no. Now, no. Everyone knows it. But I have a question for you.
Fire away.
Okay. So, don't worry, I'm not going to throw you a curveball. I'm not going to throw you under the bus just yet.
Just yet.
So, in terms of painting, what would make you feel really happy and make you feel like you made it in terms of painting?
I'd probably, as we briefly touched on in the past, I'd probably say it's just to be recognised.
Yeah.
It's purely just to say, okay, you know.
Just for like, I don't know, just for like, say you did, like your YouTube video got taken somewhere, someone shared it. And then it got shared and you had like 20-some-odd thousand shares.
Yeah, like
80,000 likes.
You know, like I don't want, you know, my paintings in fucking tape model or whatever, but you know, I had my first, actually saying that, I had my first comment today. It's from an online gallery.
Yeah.
All it was a brief little comment. Pretty good stuff.
Yeah.
That was it. But it's an online gallery. He's just, you know, getting pictures from, as you said, a dying art.
Yeah.
Like.
I mean, I kind of said it earlier that, you know, like, you can teach yourself to draw, right?
You can sit there and you can go through about 50,000 sheets of paper.
Yeah, I mean, but you can still teach yourself.
You can teach yourself.
It's literally like, I guess, learning photography. You can learn how to do it. You can teach yourself how to do it.
I would say the best way to learn is literally go out
and do it yourself. Literally, just grab. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much
what you can go to an expensive art school and be told exactly what I'm telling you now.
Yeah.
Just go out. Like,
what I learned with my camera, just keep using it. Like
it's the same thing. Just keep sketching.
I mean, like I looked up the specs of like different lenses and so on.
Yeah.
I mean, look. I guess like that would be the same for you looking at best.
Yeah, I've gone through like paints, pencils.
That's what I mean. Best type of paints, pencils,
what
brushes.
paper to use.
Yeah.
Like, what best finish I can get.
You're looking at this form and you're going, okay, so these paints are good. These paintbrushes are good. This paper's probably the best one you can get for at this moment.
Yeah, what money I've got.
Yeah. And I looked at lenses like, okay, well this one will help me there. This one would help me here. It's the tool of the trade, should we say?
Yeah.
Right? So like, you're looking at it that way, and I'm thinking like, well, self-teaching is the best way.
Oh yeah.
I mean, someone could help you get so far, but only you doing it can get you further. Like only you can really push yourself.
Like I would sit down with Nam at an evening for an hour or so before I go to bed.
Yeah.
Like after I've done all my homework and chores and everything else and done all that stuff, and sit down. You know, she'll be one side of the table, I'll be the other side of the table, and she'll be like, I wonder what I should do today. like sit down and paint, and I'll be like, oh, why don't you do a cottage?
Yeah.
Like she could do the utmost beautifulest cottage you can ever see, and I'll be like, I'll be sitting, wow, how the bloody hell are you doing that? Like you're using 3 paints, and you're creating a whole scene.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there with the whole.
You're sitting there with all the mechanics.
Yeah.
But you can't turn the machine on. It's like, oh yeah, I can flip the switch, but it's not going to help me.
Yeah.
Like you need to.
I need that practice.
Yeah.
I need the thing. And to be fair, as I said before, my first tree was a lollipop.
Yeah.
Line and
you just brought a memory into my head of like when I very first started drawing. Like my nan showed me how to draw a dog. And I was like, what's the best way to draw a dog? And it was just little biro things, yeah. But I looked at it, I was like, I can't draw like that. I was like, I've tried, mate. I couldn't.
I could never get to her standard. I could never get to it.
This wasn't a standard, mate.
Even now, like I look at my painting and I'm like, no.
This wasn't a standard. This was just like a biro-looking dog at the side, and I was just like, how do you do that? And I try and do it, mate. No way. Now I can do it, but when I was younger, when I asked her, can you draw me a dog? No.
I would always get my mum to do a farmyard scene.
Yeah.
Like, not the animals, not the thing, but the actual farmyard scene, the barn, the open stable. She would do that, and then I would sit there. She'd hand me the pad, and I'll sit there. I'll be like,
well, where does everything go? Where do I put my cow and my lollipop now?
Yeah, it's like I'd sit there and I'd be like, okay, I can do trees over this side.
Yeah.
So I can sit there for about half an hour, mate, with that thing, and I could colour it in.
It just didn't work, right?
It just didn't work, and I'd be like, oh.
But the best way to learn is self-teaching.
Oh,
it's literally
I've gone through so many.
Grabbing a piece of paper, getting some paints, getting some brushes, and just trying. And that's pretty much what I was doing. I mean, to be honest, I think most of my photography and its style was just a cover up for how shit I was.
It was purely just,
It was, mate. Like, I didn't know the mechanics of a camera. Like, I didn't know what I was doing. I had manual lenses at the time. I had no fucking.
There was no handy little zoom button.
Didn't know what an exposure was or an aperture was. I was like looking at it like, whoa. And then you'd look at people's pictures and be like, how the fuck did you do that?
How did you get that aspect?
Yeah.
How did you get that angle?
And I never
the
asked
brightness
people.
and contrast.
I never asked people like how do you edit. I never asked people what lenses do you use. Like I was like, I can't. Like that's kind of personal. It's like literally asking someone like, how much do you weigh? Yeah. But I looked at their work, mate, and I was just like, how the fuck? How? I mean, my first lot of photographs I ever took on that small camera, I had the flash on. It's bad. They're bad, mate. They're really bad. I'll have to show you them, and you're looking at me like, you took that? I'll be like, yeah. I took that. It was pretty bad.
But then we've always got that one thing to look back on and be like, yeah, okay, this is where I progressed from.
Yeah.
You know, like
it sucks because these places that I went to that I took really shit photos in are not there anymore, so I could never go back and do it properly. Yeah. So it's like,
you know, I can always go back.
Yeah, I literally fucked it for myself. I really did. I didn't know what I was doing. I just grabbed the camera and thought you just press a button. And theoretically enough, that's pretty much how I progressed. Just press a button.
Just press a button. Okay. Okay. From
a different angle. What many people didn't realise was the fact they were like, oh, like I had countless messages on this forum saying like, how do you get the mood of your picture? Like, what settings do you use? And I was looking at them like, settings. Settings.
There's settings.
I was like, I don't take it off auto. Like I don't. I just turn the flash off. And I think that's what not many people realise. Like I became really successful just by keeping my camera
limiting yourself to.
It wasn't like now I know what to do.
Yeah.
Now I can light paint. Like back then, mate, I couldn't do a fucking thing. I was useless. And I look at other people's work and I'm never gonna get that way. And then after like the progression of lens change, upgrade the camera a little bit, go to a DSLR. Like I noticed the change in equipment changed my photography. But to be fair, like the dark, moody scenes,
no, they're still there.
Yeah, yeah, but what I'm saying is, mate, that's fluke. It's always been a fluke. And if it was too bright, I was like, I ain't showing that. Like it was like I ain't showing that. But no, it was the dark mood And that covered up all the mistakes I ever made with photography, the dark mood.
Just capturing that mood.
Yeah, like there was some things I didn't even want to photograph in a room, and I was like, oh, you need a room shot, bro. Like, I've done the close-ups, I need a room shot. Took the room shot, realised I'd exposed too much of light, too much was on show, people were in the scene, took the picture again, just made it darker. Hide everything. Hide everything in darkness. I'm sure if someone was to take a picture from like the forum, put it in like Photoshop and brighten it, you'd find out every you'd see every mistake ever made. It is crazy. But yeah, that's pretty much what I did. And like I said, I made a killing for it. Like, they liked that mood. And it worked. And I was like, if it works, why change it? I mean, I've done landscape photography, and that's been quite bright and colourful. Kinda.
Yeah, but you still capture a kind of a mood.
There's a mood to it.
Yeah, there's a mood to it.
It's like a storm might be rolling coming, but there ain't no storm there.
It's just you've managed to find the one dark cloud in the sky.
I mean, because I barely used a tripod and I got a DSLR, I didn't trust myself to put my camera on it. I was like, this is my only shot. A 6 megapixel DSLR camera, and I was like, this is my only shot. Like, if I don't get this shot, I'm fucked. Like, this is the only way I'm gonna kind of get some credibility to my name, as if I carry on. And like, I'd hold this camera so still, and I'd take the picture, and I'd literally just hold it. I'd get home and it's like shake. I'd be like, oh. I'd be like, oh, why does this stupid camera don't have anti-shake? So I eliminated every possible aspect. I saved up the money, got a decent camera with anti-shake. And I literally just, like now I can do everything like handheld.
Yeah.
Whereas like back then,
you know the positions where you can stand and how to rest.
Mate, I used to pick up a camera like this, and I used to be like, oh, that's a brilliant room shot, wonky as fuck. And then I was just like, oh. And then after a while, I was thinking like, everyone takes pictures like up here, like when they're standing up, it's up here. And I was like, what about if we just drop it down to like hip height, and then you photograph it? Like,
I suppose that you lower the
it
ratio
made so
and
much
opens up the room.
Yeah, it made so much difference. Like, especially if I wanted to expose the ceiling of a place. I mean, I've done some angle shots before, and I've made it work to direct lines.
Yeah.
Right, but dropping it down to like my hip height and photographing that way, or just keeping it maybe a bit chest.
Yeah.
I'd happily crouch down. Most of the time, mate, I'd go into an abandoned place wearing really nice clothes, and I'd come out covered in shit, not like pigeon dust, there's asbestos,
grime.
I'd be pressed up against a wall like this, and I'd be like, photograph, and I'd try and get it that way, and it would work. Like, the weirdest angle helped me more, especially with close-ups. It helped me more because everyone would be like, oh, I put a timer on it, put this on it, do this, make it really close, make it zoom in. Okay, that's fine. But it didn't help, I was much more comfortable holding it. And to be honest, I just didn't trust that £12 tripod. It's more rocky than a plastic one, mate. It really was. It just weren't safe for me, to be honest.
But no, as going back, it's probably the just as I said, being recognised and just be, you know.
I mean, we've said before about like
it's just purely.
We said before, like, you'd like to help others do art and teach them things that, like you said to me some shit, and I was like, I never thought of that. I never thought of that. Like, even like when you said you put a bit of red in an area to make the eye go to it, I never thought of that in my life. I'd literally just draw that painting and not do that little subtle technique that brings out so much more. I would never think of that.
And like, framing a photograph, framing a centerpiece that you want people to look into. You'd always put it up and sort of like say up and then tilt it in so it's pointing to it. So you like visually you think, oh, there's just branches going up and across, but the ones that are dropping down are the ones that are pointing to it. And you think there's sly little, as I said, that you can put a red dot just off centre and people will see that first before they see the massive tree. Like, it's very weird, but it works.
Yeah.
Like a lot of artists have used it over the years.
So you're telling me if I was to like go into a gallery, now I know this technique.
Now
I'm
you
bound
know
to
this,
look at it.
you will find
Oh mate,
that one red person or that one person with the red t-shirt.
The TV downstairs and everything else, right? The TV's like that, right? It's I can watch a film on it, but there's this one red pixel.
One pixel,
and I swear it's where I threw something at the TV. I can't remember what it was.
It's probably a remote one.
There's that tiniest little red dot. I can't watch TV and go, because that red dot,
there.
no one else can see it. Only I can fucking see it. I'm like,
know
what
where
the fuck?
it is, it's there.
It bugs the shit out of me so much. I'd rather watch it on my phone. But yeah, that red dot, like, now you've mentioned it, I'm going to be looking for it. Like, when I next see artwork positioned anywhere, I'm going to be like, where's the mark and where's the dot?
Yeah. Or, like, everyone will have, as you say, a style.
Yeah.
There's some people that won't put that red dot in, but they'll put a tree. They'll put a bird, just one, in a painting. Like, it could be inside a house in a living room, but they'll still have that tree in the corner
that you notice when you look at it.
That you'll still have something in there that will identify the artist.
So basically,
not just a signature at the bottom.
No, I think the signature at the bottom. Most people do it at the bottom, back, side. They might even throw it into it. Like if someone painted like a room. And there was loads of things in the room, like a sofa, a bird cage. They might even just put the initials somewhere, and you'd be like, "Oh, he signed it. Look, he signed it."
It's hidden.
Yeah,
it's hidden. So I would always myself. I would always put 3 birds up in the top right corner, just in a diagonal. To break up the picture. Or there will be 3 birds somewhere, but you might only see one. But I know behind that tree branch that I just drew, there's a bird. You have creative license. Like I can draw like 3 V's, which is bird. Like, I can draw 3 V's and then go, actually I want a tree that goes up through there. Oh, I've covered one up. So you see the 2, but there's one in the middle. Like I know there's one in the middle.
It's the same as when like you've seen my photography, like documents, addresses. Like, I'd blur out the addresses, right? Never used to, just never used to photograph the address. Now, if I want to get in the picture, I'll blur out the address or I change the lettering. So no one will find this abandoned place.
No.
But look carefully at the lettering. They'll be like...
It's a little bit...
Yeah, but...
It doesn't
I will spell something out, like Mockingbird Avenue, instead of like, Rembrandt Avenue or something stupid, right? And then it'd be like, you can't see this. There'd be like subtle little things, like you will not find this.
And you will be surprised hardly anyone will
No one's noticed it. I think one person went, oh, it's really strange that this letter has like Mockingbird on it. And
or an M or...
I was like, are you that thick? Like, you really think I'm going to go to a house and it's just called Mockingbird House? Like... It was just such a...
No, but that would like hit your whole thing
right off. But no, it was like, they didn't notice these subtle things. But they were like, oh, where's this place? What's this place like? But they didn't notice that subtle thing. And I'm just like...
Well, it's when you type into Google, like, Mockingbird Road or something, and then we bring up something else.
I came across that in Texas, actually. Like, we were driving down this one road, and it was Mockingbird Avenue. And we were like... And then we carried on driving, and it was like Mockingbird Road. And we were like, what's the difference? And then we came across, and it was Mockingbird House. And we were like,
what the heck?
I'm meant to be here.
I'm drawn here.
But we were looking for like a church or something, but we were like, this is the place. It's still funny to come across, because I didn't edit that picture, and still no one questioned it. No one was like, why is it Mockingbird Avenue?
Where are you?
It's like, what?
I've typed it into Google, it comes up with this weird place.
Of course it does. Of course it does. You want to fire a question at me?
I think, to be fair, I think we just answered like 3 questions of mine in that
awesome
little thing. So I think it's your turn.
Oh, my turn.
We'll do one more and
see where it goes.
See where it goes.
And it's a break time.
Oh yes, because I definitely need a potty break.
Okay, so would you say, in terms of painting, drawing, what part in your mind would be like, I made it, like I've reached success point, like I've reached the pinnacle of my success? Is it like, would you feel successful if you helped others, or would you feel more successful if you made it on your own? If that kind of thing, like, and what is that pinnacle point of you reaching success for you?
I think, like, obviously, back when I was fresh out of the blocks, if you know what I mean, like, back then when I got to the point in my head that I'm like, yeah, I'm good at this.
Yeah.
I think back then it would be more of, if I went to a gallery and, you know, went through the pamphlet, see what I would like, and said, oh, actually, like, that's one of mine, or like something like that, or I'll go through an art book or something and go,
and you saw one of yours,
that's one of mine, like, oh, that's wow, yeah, that's me. I think back then it would be that, but it would be more sort of for myself.
Everyone wants to reach the end phase before they can walk,
before they can get started.
Everyone wants to reach that pinnacle point.
But I think now, obviously grown up a bit more, I had to step back and thought, actually, you know what, I'm not as good as I thought. I'm always learning. Everyone's learning.
Yeah. So we say, like, you thinking like, I want to be here. You realised you're way back.
I'm still.
You're still like
level
one.
I'm still sharpening my pencil.
You're still like level 1, level 2.
Yeah, it's pretty much. I'm still this low level, and I'm thinking I'm up like 6 or 7. But yeah, I think it's the big hit back then was obviously going to the gallery and this is I've done 5 paintings. What do you think? He said, come back when you've learned more, basically. Yeah. So obviously now I'm thinking, oh, actually, you know, I'm not that good, but I'm good to certain people. Yeah. Like, I'm much more better saying, okay, I mean, you might want to try this, or you might want to try that. So I think now it would be, if I was able to help someone, to get to.
Would it make you feel really? I don't know. See, to me, if I was to help someone like do photography, like urban exploration, and they did some crazy shit that I never did, I'm gonna have so much fucking hate for that person. Like, you twat. You're gonna have that bit in your head, like.
But then I think for myself, it's more of, okay, but.
You help someone reach a bigger peak than what you did.
Yeah, you know, I've tried. I've got to a certain point.
I mean, that's pretty much.
I've accepted that I may or may not go any further. Yeah. But I mean, that is. I'm willing to share.
What you've just said, like, mentally, I feel like I've done it all. And as harsh as that sounds, because I know a lot of people like want to see more of my photography. They want to see where I go next. Like, obviously, I released my first book that did well. More better than what I thought it was. I just released it because I think, like I said, like, my uncle died like in January. I think me and a couple of others, we just finished like getting our last bits before Christmas, so we can upload over the Christmas period. Yeah. Because we knew we were going to be busy. Now, I lost my uncle in January, and I literally put a post out saying, like, I don't think I'm going to be posting much anymore. And then, because I love writing so much, it took me to create a book.
Took you down a different path.
And it gave me time to grieve in a different way. Because I literally did.
It's more pouring emotion into the pages rather than.
I think it's like over 300 pages or close to 300 pages, and it took me 6 months, and that was writing photography. I mean, I had years of photography to put in there, but it took me that little bit of motivation, like a loss for me to gain something. Yeah. And now I look at my book and I think, like, can't do that again. I don't have that motivation.
You don't have that emotion behind it to push you in that direction.
No. But I managed to do it in 6 months, and I know other photographers that are still trying. But that doesn't mean I wasn't given a massive setback. I mean, I thought I was so good at doing like photography. Over the years, as obviously it builds up, you get all these comments. You get people saying, "Oh, it looks fucking amazing. It looks incredible. Like, how do you do it? Like, how do you make it have this much emotion and feeling?" Like, my ego went through the roof. I was just like, "Am I really that good? Am I really this? Am I really what they're saying?" Basically. Yeah. And then like I looked at some guys' pictures and I was like, "Oh wow, they're better than mine." It knocked me down a bit more, and I was like, "I have to try harder." And like I said, like, then I kind of lost my uncle, diverted, and went straight into creating a book. And creating a book.
Pouring all of your focus, all of your energy.
But I mean, like, other people have tried making books. It didn't work. But that doesn't mean I wasn't given a setback. I mean, I wanted to create a book. I wanted to, not just to, like, show the places. Like, it's not about, like I said earlier, photographers nowadays do it for money. I weren't intending to make money, and to me, I didn't want to. I just wanted people to see my work, like you wanted some gratification, you wanted some exposure. I just wanted people to look at my photography and just be like, wow. That was it.
Like, cool.
Yeah, like, wow. Saying that, like, the places I've walked in, history in itself has been demolished in these places that I photograph now. So for me, later on, to show people
I didn't believe that was there. Yeah,
that I walk the halls of like an asylum, and there's a picture of me in an asylum, or like me laying on like a mortuary slab, and like someone took a picture, or I did. Like, you're never gonna get a picture like that again. And but with all of that success, like, I literally beat myself up, thinking like I wasn't good enough. I was like, there's no way I'm that good. Nowhere near as that good. So releasing a book. Let alone did I look at other people's work at the time going, oh shit, that's amazing. Releasing a book took me on a different scale, and people enjoyed the writing aspect, they enjoyed the storytelling. So I was like, oh, maybe that's more my curve, rather than going into photography, because I feel like I've done everything I can. I mean, there's only so much I can see and photograph the same, or photograph it differently, but at the end of the day, it's still a bad place. It's still going to look the same. Someone else might come along and photograph it better. But for me to have that section that I created, and I was given a setback. Like, I went to Carpet Bombing Culture, and I said, look, I'd like to release an urbex book. Like, I don't want the money from it, I just want some help creating it. They said no. After like 11 years, they said no. They said, no, your photographs aren't that good. And I was like, okay, they're not that good. Great. So I had that setback, like kind of like you did with the gallery.
Okay.
It's like
back to the drawing board kind of thing.
And after how much I progressed to get further, it took one person to knock me all the way back. Yeah. Whereas you're saying like, oh, just to have like your picture in like a leaflet saying like this is up for sale, or like in a magazine or an art world book or something like that. Like, I've had my photos in photography books. That's fine. Like it helps. Yeah. Gives you a bit of exposure, but it doesn't solidify you as
a specific.
Yeah, it doesn't really hit it home as much as like someone saying your shit does. Someone saying your shit at art, you're like, okay. Yeah. It knocks you straight back to level 1.
Yeah.
Whereas I had that when I went to release the book. Like, I knew what I wanted. I knew the project I had lined up, and they said no, and they said it wasn't good enough. And at the time, I kind of reached that pinnacle where urban exploration or urbex was popular. I was like, why don't they want this? Why can't they see what I photographed and be like, yes, the world needs to see it? And I was just like, shit. So losing my uncle, going to them, and then me sat there thinking like, what now? Like,
all this time, all this effort.
I mean, what's the end game? What am I gonna try and accomplish with this? And then it was like, I'll do it myself then. And I was like, I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to create a book, make it myself.
I've done my photography myself.
Yeah. It was like, okay, I'm going to prove these people wrong.
So you built yourself back.
Yeah, I was like, I'm going to prove it wrong. At least if I make it. I mean, I saw other people that I admired, and I still do, and I love their work, but they went to this company, they got big from this company. I was thinking that could have been me. So I always have that bit, like, I look at them and think, like, oh, you lucky swine. Like, how did you when I know my photos are better? How? And it was like watching them progress, and then I was just sat there. I was like, is this it? Like, am I always going to be like second fiddle to everyone else? Like, haven't I earned my stripes yet? So it was like, right, self-publish. Let's see where this goes. And I think, like I said, like when you want to create a book, like your best option is to self-publish because you're in control. Yeah. You're not going to get rejected.
No, you know what you're putting into it.
Yeah,
you know why you're putting it.
I mean, it's the craziest thing is when I was creating my book, the writing I did first. And I was like, shit, now what pictures do I put in? Like, I was like,
you're hunting through.
Yeah, I mean, I had to go through thousands and thousands of pictures. And I was just like, shit. But I was so confident with the writing. And I thought, well, why? Like, I've just been bragging to this company they should take my pictures, and now I'm like, oh, maybe they shouldn't. Like, you know, I kind of went back on myself. I was like, oh, no. But like I said, like, it was ironic, because after, like, I self-published my book, I sent them an email of my figures and how many I'd sold. And they were like, that's really good. None of the people we took on board have sold that many.
Or that quickly.
Yeah, or that quickly. And they were just like, oh. They were like, are you planning to do another one? I was like, oh, now you want me.
Yeah.
Now you want me. Now you want me. Give me creative room. Fuck it.
Creative license.
Yes. But I guess like your end game would be to be successful that way. To get to that point where people share your work, people know what you do. Do you remember like the people that kept saying to me, I'm not going to mention names, but they were like, oh, you can photograph my garden shed if you like. or it's like, oh, you photograph abandoned things, oh, I can show you my attic. And it was just like, I'd look at them and be like, oh, you know what? If you knew what I'd seen, you knew what I have actually like fallen in love with, you would literally you wouldn't be saying that. No. And then when I showed it to them, completely different. Yeah. They were like, whoa, I love this. And I was like, thought you would. How about you come with me and experience it?
And then they started doing aspects of their
own. They branched off. I think I gave them a new lease of life.
Yeah, probably.
But they just didn't know. They didn't know what I was seeing, and that's the weirdest thing.
I suppose, like yourself, I'd like to have, as I said, a book out there. But it's more of like myself, more of a progression from what I was to what I am now, and how I've learned different things during the way.
See, it's funny,
it's not more of a how-to, it's how I became.
Yeah, it's... See, with mine it wasn't the progression. With mine, I wanted to share what I'd seen, and then also give the viewer something of why I'd done it. And that was pretty much what I wanted to do. And with you doing your book, I mean, like, you could show from how you started to your end result. And you could call it like As Months Pass. I mean, that's a pretty cool name. You could use it As Months Pass.
Don't you dare copyright that. That's mine.
Like literally As Months Pass, and it would suit the aspect of your artwork. I mean, you got As Months Passed, and I took the other project on board. But it was funny because I didn't predict myself creating a book, and I think that took me down a different route completely. And it also made it more and more difficult for me to try and set up for a second one.
Yeah, I suppose you'd never outdo your first one.
The first one, no.
You would never believe that you'd outdo your first one.
It was funny because, like, obviously we touched on social media, and we touched on other things, and it was like, oh, okay, you can, like my friends were like, oh, you should get a like page on Facebook. You should set up an Instagram account. I was just like, I don't really want to. I didn't want that publicity.
No, it's a different kind of...
I was quite happy sharing to the forum, sharing to like-minded individuals like myself, and having their feedback. I didn't need feedback from like 6,000 followers. I didn't want it. I mean, to be honest, like, using social media to broadcast stuff has become good, but there's also a massive downside to it. I mean, the amount of hate...
You can connect to more like-sided people, but...
The amount that I got more hate for my work publicly than what I did from a forum. And publicly it was just like, your photos are shit. Like, we hate your work. Like, why are you posting to this hub? And it was just like,
great, awesome.
was like, you guys have no idea who I am. Acted like a celebrity the whole way through. But no, social media took on a different platform.
It's a different twist.
It brought me closer to followers because like they were interested in what I did. They were like, holy shit. I mean, you got to think urban exploration is more bigger in other countries than here.
Yeah, we've kind of cracked down on that aspect of it in this country.
I mean, like my first book, it sold more in America, Germany and Russia than what it sold in the UK.
And if you think there's more abandoned places in these other countries, really.
But it sold more in there, and the followers from that was insane. They were like, holy shit, I wish we had this type of history in like the USA. I wish we had this stuff over here. And I was just like, just an asylum? Like, it's not big, it's not that good. I mean, I always went into every abandoned place thinking that you could walk in, make it your own, but make it look good. And you can. I'm not going to lie to you, I can go into an empty farmhouse and bring out more character and feeling than what the average photographer on Instagram could take a farm shot. Like, I can literally polish a turd, I could polish a shithole, and I can make it look that good, and I'm that certain of it. I can tell a story, I can show feeling, I can bring that building to life just by putting me into that picture. And yet, other people will take that picture and like, people say it's shit. I will literally hunt for them, find the details, that finer point.
As we've touched on earlier, it will really focus on certain aspects.
It's not just...
Not the whole picture.
Yeah. And to me, like, that in itself, I would consider myself successful in. Not necessarily photography, but bringing these places to life in a way no one else could. That I consider a success. My book in itself, as I self-published it, is a success. And that is why I come to my peak and I can't go much further. Unless I travelled more.
Yeah. Which...
Can't go anywhere.
We're
stuck.
But it could be a thing for the future.
It could be. I mean, I did have a different route. I did have an idea of where I wanted to go. But it was how.
Yeah.
And do I do this on my own? Like, I've done a lot of abandoned places on my own. I've taken a lot of risks on my own. Like, I've travelled pretty much on my own. But do I venture to different countries,
different laws,
different places? I could end up dead within like 2 days. Like, do I venture past that point and go the extra mile and do something completely different? Because what I have in store is completely different to what I've done, and no one's done it yet.
No.
And if they have, they've done it in a document fashion where it's been on TV. And they've made a joke out of it.
Yeah. Over mediatised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it hasn't been as raw and as uncut as it could be.
No.
So me wanting to go that route, it's like, will I find like-minded people to travel with me to bring this project to life and to make it worth viewing? Because I wasn't just going to do photography, I was going to do video.
Yeah.
I was going to do cinematics. But it's finding these people like myself that see this vision that could make it bigger than anything else shown anywhere. And it's also that storytelling.
Yeah.
And no, I just hope that somehow I can get round it and do it before anyone else catches on to it.
Yeah.
But I highly doubt it.
Right, so I think we'll leave it there for now.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll do another one soonish.
Hopefully.
But yeah, we'll leave it for now, and then we've got a lot covered today. Just. But yeah, hopefully we'll be more regular with the updates on
as it progresses. As we get further.
Yeah, as we get further into
it. And then we're going further and further in lockdown. That's what we got a lot.
Further and further sitting away.
It won't be like, we can't get this close anymore. Literally, it's got to be room to room. We've got to be shouting from each room. So I've got a question for you. I'll be like in another room just shouting to you with like a megaphone.
Yeah.
I'm sure you can.
Camera in the middle.
May as well just put sound waves up. done. Part one done and dusted. So hopefully that's given you guys
an insight.
An insight, yeah. An insight.
Hopefully a teaser.
A teaser.
But we have covered quite a lot.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Hopefully people can like look at this and be like, oh wow, these guys are quite interesting. Or if not,
then well, just skip to the next video.
Just leave us alone.
But no, hopefully you guys will, stick with us. Obviously, we'll try and get as much out as we can.
You're hoping they stick with us.
Well, it would be nice. I don't know how many questions I'll be able to ask before I run out of questions.
Well, it's not the fact of a question, isn't it? I mean, we can pick a topic and
we
just
can
run
pick a topic and run with it.
Yeah.
As I said, we can do anything. As you said, we can do everything. We can do anything and everything.